Hi there, internet friend. If you're watching this, I probably made some sort of device for you to play some video games. This one is a laptop that's been set up. We're going to go through the process of starting it up, connecting a game controller and playing some games and seeing how that goes. So first things first, find the old power button and push it. That's exciting. You'll get lots of Linuxy text flying past because that's how I roll. No windows here. You can ignore all this, it's just there in case things break and I need you to tell me where it broke. But if all went well, it should just start up all by itself and throw you into this thing, Retropie and Emulation Station. So the first thing you'll get is a message saying that it can't find a gamepad. I'm going to zoom out a little bit here. There we go. So if you just get any old USB gamepad and plug it in any of the USB ports, you can use a joystick, you can use whatever, as long as it's USB, PlayStation controllers work, all that kind of stuff works. And then wait a couple of seconds. You might have to push a button. Now, I've configured this one before, so if I push a button, it's likely just going to go straight into the menu, which is cool. If you want to reconfigure, whatever button you'll see down here, it says start for menu, A for select, and you can control those. I'll go into that a little bit more, but if you push the menu button, which for me is the start button that I've configured already, it'll come up with the main menu, and then I can just push down to select configure input. I can push another button. It says, are you sure you want to configure the input? I pushed my my A button on my right hand, my eastern button for confirm. It's going to ask me to hold the button on the device that I want to configure. So this is the device I want to configure. Push and hold the button, and then we can start configuring it. So now it's going to ask me to do a bunch of stuff to set the buttons. So it wants D-pad up. So this thing is the D-pad, the digital pad. These things are your analog sticks. So D-pad up, push that one time, and it registers it. D-pad down, left, right. The button you want for start, so this is an important one because it brings up the menu, don't mess that up. And select is an important one if you don't have a mode button, which we'll cover in a sec. It's important because select plus start together will exit out of a game. If you go into the arcade section, select is what's going to be your coin button, is what's going to put a coin into the virtual arcade system. And for a lot of like Nintendo and Super Nintendo games, select is a very important button as well. So push that. Button A is the east button. Now, on this controller, it is button A is my eastmost button, but depending on what your controller is, A and B might be switched around. So like if it's an Xbox controller, but it's important that you push the east, the rightmost button for this, regardless of what it's called on the controller. This is typical Nintendo layout, where B, A, Y, and X are kind of backwards. They're not alphabetical order, which is kind of weird, but that's the way Nintendo do it. So anyway, push that button. So my east button, my south button, my north button, my west button. Now you've got shoulders and triggers. So on the top of most controllers, like a PlayStation controller or whatever, you've got your L and R buttons. Your front ones are the triggers. Your front ones are the shoulders. Your back ones are the triggers. So don't screw that up like I just did. So left shoulder, left trigger, right trigger. Now these are kind of important, left thumb, right thumb. So these are my thumbsticks, but thumbsticks you can make into a button, so I can push that thumbstick down into the controller and it'll click like a button. So I've got to push that for left, I've got to push that for right. Now I've got to do my analog. So analog up, analog down, analog left, analog right. So that's on the left stick. Now on the right stick, analog up, down, left, right. Now hotkey. So hotkey is it's a special button that if you enable it, it will become the extra button that helps you exit a game. So if you've got extra buttons on your controller, use it. If not, and I'll go through this in a second in the next video, you can undefine it and use select instead, but I'll show you how this works. So I'm going to use this. This particular controller's got like a home key on it. This is a Nintendo Switch controller. It's got a home key on it for the Nintendo Switch. PlayStation, Xbox have got it too. But I'm going to push this button to define that as my hotkey. And then finally, we're okay. So the rightmost button is always your OK button. Now, if you had a joystick, you can define anything you like here, same sort of thing. Just remember where your buttons are. I might show a joystick in a sec and sort of give a recommended layout, but this is how I'm going to do things. So I'll hit OK here. There we go. And then to get out of this menu, push your bottommost button. Don't hit the quit, because it'll quit out of the actual front end. Hit this bottommost button here. All right, so now I can use my D-pad to select my system. So I've got a few systems here. I can go in and play a bunch of different games. This Retropie area, again pushing my rightmost button to go into a menu. It's got a bunch of configuration things. If you don't have to fiddle with things here, I probably wouldn't. Best probably just to leave that alone, I think. But you can go in here and play some games. So let's do an example of something fairly simple. So let's try the old Nintendo NES, might be an easy one, for example. So we push our rightmost button to go into the menu, and then we pick something. So up and down, go up and down, left and right. Oh, no, left and right go to the next system. I think the L and R front buttons, yeah, jump around. So they should be, so it's just page down basically. So if we go to like classic Super Mario Brothers, for example, you can also push the menu button, the start button, and the select button. Press the select button for options there, select options. That's it, and now we can jump. So if we want to go to S, so I'm just pushing left and right here to change my letters. S for Super Mario Brothers. My rightmost button again, it'll jump to S, and then just paging down with the right button until I find SU, super, there we go. And we've got a couple of different Super Mario Brothers on this one. We've got the main one, that's the worldwide version. We've got another world version, which looks like a slightly different version, and one with Duck Hunt. So if you get these sorts of things, I just kind of usually pick the sort of the most generic looking one, and again push your A button to start. Alright, so selected a game, and we push our our A button to start the game. And just give it a sec, you'll see this loading screen. Don't touch anything during the loading screen, and then the game will fire up. Now you'll see down the bottom left this frame counter that is just there for my debugging purposes to make sure everything's running full speed. That'll go away in the final version of things. However, for a Nintendo game, very simple, just press start to go to the title screen here, start the game. And away we go. Jump button, A button, walk, hold the run button to run. Usual sort of stuff. Start pauses. And then to exit, we hold our, we had a hotkey button from before, so we hold our hotkey button and press start. If you haven't configured a hotkey button, you hold select and press start. Hotkey and start will exit out and get back to the menu. The B button leaves that menu, goes back to the main menu. So that's the same for all the console stuff here. The arcade stuff is a little bit different. If we go into the arcade, now we've got to go 2 menus deep in the arcade, I don't know why. So you go to 1 and it'll give you this weird menu, push it again and you'll get into the main menu. Then you've got all your games on the left here. So if we fire up the old 1942, same sort of thing again. We'll get this odd loading screen here. And then we've got the game. Now it asks us to insert a coin, so select is our coin button by default. So let's put in 1 coin in the arcade machine, put your 20-cent piece in, starts the game. All right, it's the same sort of thing. You figure out where your buttons are. I think that's button 2, that's button 1. I don't think this has got a 3rd button. I don't think they do anything. It's just a 2-button game. Some buttons have got 3, some buttons have got 6. Obviously start does nothing here because it's not a console, so I can't pause it. However, I can hold my hotkey button and start, exit back out to the menu. And that's that. Alright, I might do another video add-on in a sec, just to show another controller being configured, what it looks like when you put one in for the first time. Alright, so we've done this shiny controller here, it's all good. What I'm going to do now is hit the start button, bring up this menu, go down to my quit. I've got a few options in quit. I can restart Emulation Station, which is just this front-end launcher thingy. I can quit Emulation Station, which takes me back to the Linux desktop. Don't want to do that. I can reboot the whole system, or I can shut down the whole system. So if you're exiting out and you've finished playing, always choose the shutdown one. I'm going to choose that now, and it's going to say really, really, and say yes. And we'll shut down. All right, so that's powered off. I'm going to pull out my USB joystick. I'm going to push the power button, start back up again. We'll have a look what happens if we power up without a joystick attached, and one that we haven't configured yet. So it's going to do its little boot thingy. I'm going to use this guy, which looks like a Super Nintendo controller, but it's got a USB connector on the end. It's not a Super Nintendo controller. All right, Emulation Station load up. Okay, it says, welcome, I can't find a controller, great. So I'm going to plug in my little USB, doesn't matter where you stick it in, any USB port will do. And then, this is the controller I want to configure, so push and hold a button for it to figure out, hey, I found one. Okay, so usual thing again, we've got our D-pad, so up, down, left, right. I want start and select, so start. This one has actually got it written on the controller. I don't know if you can see that, it's embossed, kind of doesn't show up because the lighting's crap. So that's my start button, it's my select button. Now it wants my my A East button. So again, this one happens to be correct, but if I had a, like here's a PlayStation controller, right? Like that obviously doesn't have A, it's just got circles, so that's your East button, that one's filthy. Xbox controllers are the other way around, A and B are swap, but you want the eastmost button. So East, South, North, West. I do have left shoulder and right shoulder, right shoulder, but I don't have trigger buttons. So when you get to this point, you run out of buttons, push and hold a button, and you'll see, instead of giving you like this one's picking up whatever button 5 is, so that's button 5, great. If I push and hold a button, so I'm just going to push A because it's there, push and hold, and it says not defined if you hold it for long enough. So I'm literally going to go through and undefine all of these buttons. Takes a little while. Especially if you've got like only a 2-button joystick or something. It can take a really long time. Like I don't have any analog triggers on this because it's just a digital pad. Right, now this is the important one, this hotkey enable here. So this last bit, hotkey enable, I'm going to push and hold my A button, and it's going to say, oh, hang on, no, first I've got to OK that. And it says, you didn't choose a hotkey button. This is required for exiting games with the controller. Do you want to use the select button default? So either say yes and accept that, or no and define a hotkey. So I'm going to say yes, just by pushing my rightmost button here. And we're in. Okay, so let's once again go to something. So this looks like a Super Nintendo controller, so why not choose Super Nintendo? Same sort of thing. I can push my select button, go to S, and because it's a Super Nintendo, just about everything starts with S, because it's all super everything. So again, my R button goes page down. Let's pick T Super, Adventure, Super Black, Super Double, Super Punch. Oop, too far. Super Mario World. There it is, Super Mario World. All right, so I'm going to push my A button to start that. Once again, we're going to go to our little launching screen here. Don't push any buttons while this comes up, otherwise it will jump into a menu and you don't want that. All right, and again, this frame counter down here is just there for my benefit. That'll go away, so it's nice and neat. All right, so usual Super Nintendo game, press start. You can press select here to select different things, but up and down work. Depends on the console, some you select, some don't. And then start to start. Right, so it's Super Mario World working. Now if I want to exit, because I don't have a hotkey button, hold my select button and press start. So hold select and press start, and that'll exit you out back to the menu. That's it. So again, your A button selects games, B backs out of your menu, chooses anything you want. From here, heaps and heaps of stuff that you can choose from, play. If it all breaks, you know, message me. Yeah, great. Hope that's fun. See ya. Bye.